All right, tonight I'm going to explain to you why I put Victorinox 91mm scissors in my wave. There are several options, and I wanted to go over several options that I've seen people use, whether it's on multitool.org or the Leatherman Mod Facebook group, and there's so many different other great sites as well, but those are a couple of them. And people are choosing more and more options to put scissors in their Leatherman wave. But these are the four most popular ones that I have seen recently. Now, one of the oldest versions it seems like people used to do was the Leatherman Wingman. Now, if you can see right there, the Leatherman Wingman, as far as I know, is a two-piece construction. Now, I've actually not taken my Wingman apart, and I have not tried to use the scissors, but I believe it's the two-piece construction. And what that means is you have got a spring like so, and then you have got the scissors that go against that spring. And when it pops into place, it creates some resistance and it springs open and so forth. So instead of a one-piece construction, you actually have two pieces to worry about. And then with the Leatherman Wingman as well, I believe there is some modding involved where perhaps the pivot hole may need to be larger. Perhaps some of the sides need ground down as well. I'm not sure, but I have heard that it can be fairly extensive. Some people consider it very easy. Others say it's a little bit more difficult. So the Leatherman Wingman does run, I believe, now around the $70 mark, and so scrapping one of those can be a little bit pricey, and also even on the used market they are a little bit more expensive now. Now, the second option that I have seen that sort of surprises me is actually the Gerber Suspension XT. Now, the price has recently risen on this as well. I believe on Gerber's website you'll find it all the way up to $50. I think on Amazon it's still $30, but on eBay you can find these routinely, at least I used to, for around $15, $12 even at times. They seem to be a little bit cheaper. So the price is good, and the scissors are actually will be, as far as I know, one-piece construction. So there is a wire that loops around, connects back in there, and I believe that is the spring option. Again, I haven't taken this apart, but I have seen people who have put this in a Leatherman wave, and it seems like it's a little bit easier construction because it's smaller, it's not as thick, and it seems to work okay for some people. But I'm not a huge fan of this style because the spring has a tendency to pop out. People say, well, you can easily bend it back. That's true, but I really don't want scissors that I have to keep repairing. So I'm not a huge fan of these scissors, but for some, that is a lot easier option than some of the other options. Now, the third option is what some people have labeled the dolphin style scissors. Now, these are on your scissors, whether it be Suapro or all these wave-like multi-tools that are flooding the market, and some of them have this style scissors, or even the half multi-tools, I believe, have some of these scissors. And so they're called dolphin because it's actually a safety end on the end of both of these. And these are actually longer scissors than some others, so that creates the first problem in that when you actually try to get this to fit in the wave, it is actually too long. So you have to cut the ends off the scissors. Now, the other option is it's actually too thick to fit like it is in the Leatherman wave. So this was to be my first option for scissors. I thought these were a great pair of scissors, but I found they were actually too thick to fit in here, and too long as well. So that rather discouraged me, and I had some issues with trying to grind this off, and it just didn't seem to be going well. So I thought, what is a better option? These are cheap. Sometimes these multi-tools, you can get them for around $20 or so. So that is attractive to just break them apart and use some of those parts to mod the wave. but I think the best option is actually the 91mm Victorinox scissors. Now, why is that? Well, because you can find many parts where people have actually torn these apart, and they're for sale on eBay. So I think I got this one for around $15. I think there is an older and a newer style, and I think I actually got the older style, but I believe there are two different versions of Victorinox scissors as well. And there will be a little bit of modding involved. Perhaps it will seem like more for others, but it's not too bad. So first of all, the pivot hole definitely needs enlarged on your scissors. So the nice thing again about these is you don't have two pieces. The spring is part of the piece. And so you don't have to worry about jamming two pieces in, making sure they lock and fit right. It's just one piece. So that's one of the things that attracted me. And then the Victorinox scissors themselves are not too long. They can fit right in the sides. So you don't have to cut off the ends either, which I think is really nice as well. So for the pivot, I had used a Dremel style tool, and then I got some pretty tough little grinding wheel right here, and that was able to get some of the metal out. I also use a diamond tipped bit as well, and I was able to move metal as well. And then the last bit, let me pick this up from the floor, was actually this carbide tipped blade, which actually comes painted red at the end. And I've used this for many different things, and this actually worked extremely well for the project. So I was able to put this in the pivot hole, and then it really moved metal fast, and I was able to get this to fit over the pivot. Now, once you've done that, I think there may be a little bit of grinding involved to fit it flat against this lock so it fits in place and doesn't move. And then the last thing you need to do is you have to remove some metal right there. I removed some metal, and I think also on the inside, so it lines up against this piece of the frame and locks into place. So you've got to have that so that it locks in. And it really isn't that difficult. You can get some of the other Leatherman implements you've removed, sort of use maybe metal marker and trace it out on there as well. And then with a little bit of trial and error, it actually works pretty good. So that is why I actually think the Victorinox 91mm scissors is the best option to use for the Leatherman Wave. I wanted to let you know there are several options, and there's probably many more actually, but these are the 4 most popular that I have run across. So I hope that helps, and I'll see you in the next video.